Commander Lee Dongwu wiped the sweat from his forehead as alarms blared throughout the command center. The holographic display showed a nightmare in motion, a massive creature tearing through everything in its path like paper. His hands shook slightly as he watched the red dot advance toward the colony where 3 million people waited for evacuation. "Commander, we're getting reports from Outpost Delta," Lieutenant Park Hyjin called out from her station. Her usually calm voice cracked with tension. The beast just... Ah! It walked right through their defensive walls. Plasma cannons, missile, batteries, everything bounced off like raindrops. Dongwu closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the first reports. The mining crew on Zarian Prime had been drilling deep into an ancient cave system when they hit something unexpected. Not ore or crystals, but a massive chamber filled with strange technology. It was too late. The Karnath had awakened from its centuries-long sleep, and nothing could stop its rampage. The creature was unlike anything in the galaxy's databases. 12 feet of pure nightmare, covered in bioarmor that seemed to absorb energy, weapons, and deflect physical rounds. Its 6 glowing eyes could see in complete darkness, and its massive claws could slice through reinforced steel like butter. Worse yet, it seemed to learn from each battle, adapting to new weapons and tactics with terrifying intelligence. "Colonel Namjoon Ho is requesting immediate reinforcements," reported Sergeant Kim Woo-jin from the communications array. "His 3rd Battalion is completely surrounded. The beast isn't just attacking randomly anymore, it's hunting them."
Oh.
Dongwu's blood ran cold. In the past 24 hours, they had lost over 2,000 soldiers to this single creature. 15th Armored Division had tried to corner it near the old industrial sector, only to watch in horror as the Karnath tore through their battle tanks like tin cans. The 42nd Infantry had attempted a coordinated assault from 3 directions, but the beast moved with impossible speed for something so large, picking them off one by one. "What about the psionic specialists?" Dongwu asked desperately. "Can they establish any kind of mental contact?" Lieutenant Choi Soo-jin looked up from her console with grim news. "Negative, sir. Dr. Lee's team tried for 6 hours straight. The creature's mind is completely shielded. It's like trying to read the thoughts of a stone wall. Whatever the Veltari did to create this thing, they made sure no one could control it. The Veltari had been extinct for over 500 years, but their reputation as master bioengineers lived on. They had created living weapons that could adapt, evolve, and survive in any environment. The Karnath was supposed to be their ultimate creation, a perfect killer that would obey only them. But with the Veltari gone, the beast recognized no master at all. Suddenly the main screen flickered to life with a live feed from the battlefield. Through the smoke and debris, they could see the Karnath in all its terrifying glory. It moved like liquid death, its massive frame flowing from one target to the next with deadly grace. A squad of Marines had taken position behind an overturned transport, but the creature simply leaped over their cover and landed behind them. "My God," whispered Park Hyjin. "It's playing with them." The beast wasn't just killing, it was demonstrating its superiority. It would allow soldiers to get close enough to think they had a chance, then strike with devastating precision. Every military tactic they threw at it seemed to amuse rather than challenge the creature. "Sir, we have civilian transports trying to evacuate from Settlement 5, reported Kim Woo-jin urgently. "But the Karnath has changed direction. It's heading straight for them?" Dongwu's heart sank. The settlement housed mostly families, researchers, teachers, children. They had no military defenses, no way to fight back against something that had already destroyed 3 full battalions of trained soldiers. "How long until it reaches them?" he asked. "At current speed, maybe 4 hours," Hyjin calculated quickly. "The evacuation shuttles won't be ready for another 6. The command center fell silent except for the constant hum of computers and the distant rumble of explosions. Every person in the room understood what this meant. They were about to witness a massacre, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. "Prep the orbital bombardment cannons," Dongwu finally ordered, his voice heavy with defeat. "If we can't stop this thing, maybe we can slow it down." But even as he gave the command, he knew it was hopeless. It already tried orbital strikes twice. Karnath had simply found shelter and waited out the bombardment. then emerged angrier than before. Now it seemed focused on one goal, reaching the defenseless. Civilians who couldn't fight back. The beast that obeyed no one was about to claim its biggest prize yet. Dr. Kim Soo-min pressed her face against the small window of the evacuation transport, watching the smoke rising from the distant city. Her research facility had been evacuated 12 hours ago when the Karnath broke through the military perimeter. Now she held her 5-year-old daughter Yana close, trying to stay calm as their convoy raced through the winding forest roads toward the spaceport. "Mama, why is everything so loud?" Yana asked, covering her ears as another explosion echoed. Across the valley, the little girl had been remarkably brave throughout the evacuation, but Soo-min could see the fear in her daughter's bright eyes. "The soldiers are just making sure we stay safe, sweetheart," Soo-min whispered, stroking Yuna's dark hair. She didn't mention that those explosions were probably the sounds of their defenses failing one by one. Suddenly, red warning lights began flashing inside their transport. The automated defense grid that protected the evacuation routes had malfunctioned. And now, the same systems meant to guard them were firing at anything that moved. Energy blasts streaked past their windows as the driver swerved desperately between the trees. "Hold on, everyone," shouted the pilot, as their vehicle lurched to avoid a plasma bolt that turned a nearby tree into splinters. But the transport was too heavy, too slow. Soo-min felt her stomach drop as they skidded off the road and rolled down a steep embankment. The world spun in a chaos of breaking glass and screaming metal. Soo-min's last clear thought was pulling Yana against her chest. Before everything went black, when she opened her eyes, pain shot through her entire body. The transport lay on its side, smoke pouring from the engine compartment. Her left leg was trapped under a twisted piece of the hull, and warm blood was spreading across the floor. But Yana was moving, that was all that mattered. "Mama?" Little girl sat up slowly, a small cut on her forehead but otherwise unharmed. "Mama, why won't you get up?" "I'm okay, baby," Soo-min lied through gritted teeth. "Can you crawl outside? Through that hole there?" Yana squeezed through a gap in the wreckage and stood in the forest clearing, looking around with wide eyes. The other vehicles in their convoy had scattered during the attack, leaving them completely alone. Soo-min tried to pull herself free, but every movement sent waves of agony through her. Crushed leg. Then the forest went completely silent. The birds stopped singing. The insects stopped buzzing. In that unnatural quiet, they heard something else, the slow, deliberate sound of massive footsteps crushing through the underbrush. "Yana, come back inside," Soo-min whispered urgently. But her daughter was frozen in place. Staring at the tree line, the Karnath emerged from the shadows like something out of a nightmare. Close, it was even more terrifying than the holovids. Head shown, its bioarmor gleamed with an oily sheen, and its 6 eyes glowed like burning coals in the dim forest light. Each of its claws was as long as Soo-min's arm. It's designed to tear through anything that stood in its way. The creature moved with predatory grace, its massive head swiveling as it scanned the crash site. When those burning eyes fixed on little Yana, standing alone in the clearing, Soo-min's heart nearly stopped. "Run, baby, run," she screamed, but the Karnath was already moving. Instead of charging like a wild animal, the beast approached slowly, almost casually. It seemed to be enjoying the moment, savoring the fear it created. Its nostrils flared as it caught their scent. A low rumble came from deep in its throat, a sound like distant thunder. Soo-min struggled frantically to free herself, tears streaming down her face. She was a xenobiologist, had studied dangerous creatures her whole career, but nothing had prepared her for this moment of absolute helplessness. The Karnath towered over her daughter, its massive form blocking out the sky. The creature lowered its head, bringing those glowing eyes level with Yana. Its breath was hot and sulphurous, rustling the little girl's hair. Any second now, those terrible claws would strike, and Soo-min would lose everything that mattered in the world. But Yana didn't run. She didn't even cry. Instead, the 5-year-old looked up at the most dangerous predator in the galaxy with the same expression she used when scolding their neighbor's misbehaving dog. Small voice cut through the silence with perfect clarity and absolute authority. Time seemed to freeze. The Carnith's glowing eyes widened slightly as if it couldn't quite believe what it had heard. For a long moment, the creature remained perfectly still, its massive form poised to strike. Then, possibly, the beast lowered its haunches to the ground. Min stared in shock as the most feared predator in known space sat obediently in front of her daughter, like an enormous, terrifying pet. The Carnith's tail swept the forest floor behind it, and its 6 eyes remained fixed on Yana with something that almost looked like curiosity. The little girl smiled and reached out, one small hand toward the creature's armored snout. Dr. Cho. Minho nearly dropped his coffee cup as he stared at the live feed from the crash site. For the past 3 hours, he had watched something that should have been scientifically impossible. The most dangerous predator in the galaxy was sitting calmly next to a 5-year-old human girl, letting her pet its armored head like it was some kind of giant puppy. Run the bioscans again, he ordered his research team aboard the orbiting science vessel. Has to be some kind of neural link, some pheromone we're missing. This creature was engineered to be the perfect killing machine. Doctor looked up from her instruments with confusion written across her face. Sir, the readings are the same. No psychic connection, no chemical bonding agents. The Carnith's brain patterns show it's completely relaxed, almost ... content. Down on the planet's surface, Captain Han So-young crouched behind a fallen log with her squad,
watching the incredible scene through high-powered scopes.
The little girl named Yenna was now braiding some grass stems, together while the massive beast watched her with what could only be described as fascination. This is Bravo Team Leader to command, So-young whispered into her device. Target remains docile as long as the child is present. We attempted to move closer for extraction, but the creature immediately stood and bared its teeth. Range appears to be exactly 50 meters. The rescue had been the most nerve-wracking operation of So-young's military career. When the medical team needed to extract Dr. Kim Soo-min from the wreckage, they had to work within the invisible boundary the Carnath had established. The moment anyone crossed that 50-meter line, the beast would rise to its feet and emit a low, warning growl that made everyone's bones vibrate. But little Yana seemed completely unaware of the danger. She had asked the creature to stay while the medics worked, and it had obeyed perfectly. When one of the medical techs accidentally dropped his scanner, making a loud crash, the Carnath had started to rise aggressively. But Yana simply said, "It's okay, they're friends," and the beast immediately settled back down. "Captain, we're detecting some kind of energy fluctuation," reported Sergeant Lee Hyan-woo from his position near the perimeter sensors. "It's not coming from the creature, though, it's coming from the girl." So-young adjusted her scope to focus on Yan. The child was now showing the Carnath her small backpack, pulling out a juice box and some crackers. She offered the snacks to the massive predator, who sniffed them carefully before gently nudging them back toward her with its enormous snout. "Good boy," Yana said with a bright smile, and something incredible happened. The Carnath's armored plates actually shifted, slightly, almost like it was trying to puff out its chest with pride. Its 6 eyes seemed to glow a little brighter, and its tail swept the ground behind it in what looked suspiciously like wagging. Back on the research ship, Dr. Cho Minho was pulling up every file the Coalition had on Veltari bioengineering. The extinct alien race had been masters of genetic manipulation, creating creatures for every possible purpose. But their warrior beasts, like the Carnath, were specifically designed to be uncontrollable by anyone except their original creators. "Look." At this, called out Dr. Nam Soo-jin from her workstation. "I've been analyzing the vocal patterns of the child's commands. Her tone, pitch, and emotional resonance are creating frequency patterns that somehow bypass the creature's aggressive programming."
Ow!
The breakthrough came when they compared Yana's speech patterns to the limited recordings they had of Veltari. Communication. The extinct aliens had used complex harmonic languages, but there was something in the pure, innocent tone of the human child that seemed to trigger deep recognition pathways in the Carnath's engineered brain. "It's not about the words," Minho realized suddenly. "It's about the emotional intent behind them." The Veltari programmed their creatures to respond to authority, but they never encountered anything like human maternal instincts expressed through a child. Down on the surface, Yana had discovered that the Karnath enjoyed having its armored plates scratched in certain spots. The massive creature would lean into her tiny hands, making a rumbling sound that was almost like purring, when she found a particularly good spot behind what might have been its ears. The beast actually closed all 6 of its eyes in apparent bliss. "This is incredible," Soyoung reported. "The creature is exhibiting classic pack bonding behavior. It's treating the child like she's its family." The most dangerous moment came when a supply shuttle arrived to deliver medical equipment. The Karnath immediately detected the approaching aircraft and rose to its feet, every muscle tensed for combat. Its bioarmor began to glow with stored energy. Its claws extended to their full length. But Yana simply looked up at her massive companion and said, "They're bringing medicine for Mama. It's okay." The transformation was instant. The creature's aggressive posture melted away, and it actually moved slightly to one side, as if making room for the medical team to land safely. When the shuttle touched down, the Karnath watched carefully but made no threatening moves. "The child has somehow formed a genuine emotional bond with this creature," Dr. Cho Minho recorded in his official report. "A bond that overrides centuries of genetic programming designed to prevent exactly this kind of connection. Whatever makes humans unique in the galaxy. This little girl has just proven it's more powerful than the most advanced bioengineering ever created." As the sun began to set over the forest clearing, Yana curled up against the Karnath's warm flank, using the creature as a living pillow, while she waited for her mother's treatment to be completed. The beast remained perfectly still, one massive eye keeping watch over its unexpected new friend. The galaxy's most perfect weapon had been tamed by something the Veltari never could have predicted: the simple, pure love of a human child. The Meridian Research Station had been transformed into the galaxy's most unusual laboratory, Dr. Cho Minho watched through triple reinforced transparent aluminum as 5-year-old Yana sat cross-legged on the floor, carefully braiding colorful ribbons while a 12-foot bioengineered killing machine lay beside her like an enormous cat. The Karnath, now called Buddy, by its unlikely companion, watched every movement of her small fingers with rapt attention. Day 21 of observation, Minho spoke into his recording device. Subject continues to display complete docility. In the presence of the human child, all aggressive behaviors have ceased entirely. Dr. Kang Hae-won, the coalition's leading child psychologist, joined him at the observation window. She had arrived from the core world specifically to study this impossible bond, bringing with her 30 years of experience in understanding how children's minds worked. "Look at her posture, her breathing patterns," Hae-won pointed out. "Yana interacts with Buddy. Her stress levels are actually lower than when she's with most adults. She genuinely sees him as a friend, not a threat." In the observation chamber, Yana had finished her ribbon and was now trying to tie it around one of Buddy's massive claws. The creature held perfectly still, even though that claw could slice through battle armor like paper. When she finished, it lifted its arm to examine the colorful decoration, then made a sound that could only be described as pleased. "We've run every test imaginable," reported Dr. Oh Yun-soo from her workstation. "Brain scans, hormone analysis, pheromone detection. Adult humans show elevated stress markers, increased adrenaline, and subconscious fear responses even when trying to appear calm." Karnath reads all of these signals as potential threats. Lieutenant Colonel Jung Taeon had been skeptical when first assigned to oversee the project. A career military officer, he believed in weapons and tactics, not fairy tales about children taming monsters. But 3 weeks of observation had shaken his worldview completely. "I've seen hardened soldiers break down in tears just from being in the same room as that thing," he admitted to the research team. But watch this. Through the intercom, he asked Yenna to demonstrate some of Buddy's training. The little girl looked up and smiled, then stood and walked to the center of the chamber. "Buddy, come here," she called cheerfully. The massive creature rose gracefully to its feet and padded over to her, its footsteps making the floor vibrate despite its careful movement. It sat down in front of her, towering over the small child like a living mountain. "Good boy. Now, show them your tricks." What followed was a display that left the assembled scientists speechless. Buddy performed a series of complex movements, rolling over, standing on his hind legs, even carefully picking up small objects with his massive claws and placing them exactly where Yana pointed. Each successful trick was rewarded with enthusiastic praise and gentle petting, which the creature clearly cherished. The emotional feedback loop is remarkable, Hay1 observed. She gives genuine affection, and it responds with genuine gratitude. There's no manipulation, no hidden agenda, just pure emotional exchange. The real breakthrough came during the fourth week when Dr. Park Seung-woo arrived with news that changed everything. The ship carried cargo that made even the research team nervous. 3 more uncontrollable alien creatures that had been captured across the galaxy. "We have a Veltari shadow stalker from the Andromeda raids," Park announced, consulting his manifest. "A crystal wraith from the ice world of Cathara, and something the collectors are calling a nightmare worm from the deep space mining operations." Each creature had been responsible for countless deaths. The shadow stalker could bend light around itself, making it nearly invisible as it hunted. The crystal wraith could phase through solid matter, striking from unexpected angles. The nightmare worm was a massive serpentine creature with psychic abilities that drove its victims insane with terror. "Sir, with respect, bringing those things here seems incredibly dangerous," Jung Tae-han protested. "What if the child's influence doesn't work on them?" But Dr. Cho Min-ho had a theory he needed to test. If human children possess some unique quality that could reach even the most hostile alien minds, then this could revolutionize everything they knew about interspecies relations. The first test subject was the Shadow Stalker. Even in its containment unit, the creature radiated menace. Its form constantly shifted between solid and shadow, and its multiple eyes tracked every movement with predatory intelligence. When they wheeled its container into the main chamber, alarms immediately began sounding as the facility's sensors detected its aggressive intent. Yana looked up from her coloring book as the writhing shadow was released into the chamber. Buddy immediately moved to place himself between the child and the new threat, but she gently patted his arm. "It's okay, buddy. Let me say hello." The shadow stalker coiled in the corner, its form rippling with barely contained violence. It had killed 17 soldiers during its capture, and showed no signs of the docility that Buddy now displayed. Yun-Ah approached slowly, her small hands empty, her voice soft and welcoming. "Hi there. You must be scared. It's okay. You're safe now. My name is Yana, and this is my friend Buddy. We're going to take good care of you." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, impossibly, the shadow stalker's aggressive posture began to shift. Its multiple eyes focused on the child, and its writhing movements became less frantic. When Yenna sat down cross-legged a few feet away and continued talking in her gentle sing-song voice, the creature actually moved closer. "Unbelievable," whispered Dr. Hay1. "She's doing it again." By the end of the day, the shadow stalker was curled up near Yenna like an enormous semi-transparent cat. The other creatures followed similar patterns over the coming days. Each one, no matter how aggressive or alien, eventually succumbed to the simple, honest affection of a human child. The galaxy's most dangerous predators, it turned out, had been waiting for someone to simply treat them with kindness. The morning sun cast long shadows across the sprawling integration core's facility. As 10-year-old, Yenna walked through the training grounds with Buddy padding silently beside her. 5 years had transformed both of them. She had grown from a frightened child into a confident young leader, while the once terrifying Karnath had become the gentlest guardian in the galaxy.
"Good morning, everyone," Yana called out to the
Group of children gathered in the main courtyard. 8 young humans aged between 6 and 12 stood nervously as they prepared for their first day of training. Behind them, their parents watched through reinforced windows. Still hardly believing what their children were about to attempt, Captain Bae Ginwoo, the military liaison for the program, checked his datapad one final time. The integration course had become the coalition's most successful project, but it was also its most controversial. Critics argued that using children to tame dangerous alien predators was too risky, but the results spoke for themselves. Today we have 3 new arrivals. Jin Woo announced, gesturing toward the heavily guarded transport vehicles parked nearby. A pack of razor wolves from the Kepler system, a crystalline devourer from the asteroid mining operations, and something we've never seen before, a creature the exploration teams are calling a star serpent. Yana nodded seriously, then turned. To her fellow students? Among them was a 2-year-old Park Min-jun, who had successfully bonded with a shadow stalker last month. There was also 12-year-old Lee Sora, the oldest student in the program, who had an amazing gift for communicating with hive mind creatures. Remember what we've learned, Yana said to the group. Every creature that comes here is scared and confused. They've been taken from their homes, treated like monsters, and surrounded by fear. Our job is to show them that not all humans are their enemies. The first transport opened with a mechanical hiss, and 6 razor wolves emerged in reinforced containment units. These creatures looked like a nightmare version of Earth wolves, with metallic fur that could deflect energy weapons and fangs that could bite through starship hulls. They had been responsible for wiping out 3 entire mining colonies before their capture. The wolves snarled and snapped at their containers, their eyes glowing with rage and fear. Even the experienced guards stepped back nervously as the creatures were moved into the main training area. "They're beautiful," whispered Sora. And several adults in the observation deck nearly choked on their coffee. Yun-Ah approached the containment area slowly, with Buddy following protectively behind her. The massive Karneth had learned to read his young companion's emotions perfectly. He positioned himself where he could intervene if needed while still allowing her to work. "Hello, friends," Yana said softly, her voice carrying clearly across the training ground. "No, you're angry and scared. I know humans have hurt you, but we're different. We want to help you find peace." The lead razor wolf, larger than the others, with scars across its metallic hide, fixed its burning gaze on the small human girl. For a moment, the creature's snarling stopped, placed by something that might have been curiosity. Young Min-jun stepped forward, following Yina's example. "We have friends here who were just like you," he said, pointing to the various creatures lounging peacefully around the facility. They were scared too, but now they're happy. As if on cue, a shadow stalker materialized nearby, not in its threatening combat form, but as a gentle, translucent creature that looked almost like a living constellation. It approached the wolf containers and made a series of soft, harmonic sounds that seemed to calm the aggressive predators. "You see," Yana continued, "we're all friends here. Humans and aliens, predators and prey. We've learned that the galaxy is big enough for everyone." Admiral Lim Young-soo watched from the command center, still amazed by what these children could accomplish. His military career had been built on the principle that superior firepower solved every problem, but the integration cores had proven him wrong. The most dangerous creatures in known space, beings that had resisted every form of technology and military force, were being tamed by nothing more than genuine kindness. "Sir, we're getting reports from across the galaxy," his aide informed him. "Colony worlds that were once terrorized by alien predators are now requesting integration cores teams. The program is becoming more popular than we ever imagined." The breakthrough with the razor wolves came when the smallest of the pack, barely larger than a normal wolf, began whimpering. It wasn't making aggressive sounds anymore, but the pitiful cries of a creature that was homesick and alone. Kim Hannah, the youngest member of the Corps, immediately responded to the sound. She approached the container with tears in her eyes, pressing her small hands against the transparent walls. "Oh, you miss your family," she said softly. "I understand. When I first came here, I missed my home too. But now I have a new family. A bigger family with lots of friends." The change in the wolves was immediate and dramatic. Their aggressive postures melted away, replaced by something that looked almost like hope. When the containers were finally opened, instead of attacking, creatures approached the children cautiously, their metallic tails actually wagging. The day continued with similar successes. The crystalline devourer, a creature that had consumed entire space stations, proved to be surprisingly gentle when approached with patience and understanding. The mysterious star serpent, a massive creature that seemed to be made of living starlight, responded to music humming lullabies that Sora remembered from her childhood as the sun began to set over the facility. Nina found herself walking through the dormitory area with an incredible sight following behind her. Buddy padded alongside a pack of reformed razor wolves, while overhead a crystal wraith drifted peacefully through the air. Shadow stalkers moved like friendly ghosts between the buildings, and in the distance, the star serpent coiled around the communications tower like a beautiful, living constellation. "You know what I think?" Nan said to Buddy as they reached their favorite spot overlooking the valley. "I think these creatures were never really monsters at all. They were just lonely and scared, and no one had ever tried to be their friend before." Buddy made his rumbling purr sound and gently nuzzled her shoulder with his massive head. Around them, children and alien creatures played together in perfect harmony, proving that the bonds of friendship could cross any boundary, even the vast distances between stars. Dr. Cho Minha completed his final report that evening, looking out at the impossible scene before him. The integration cores had grown from a desperate experiment into a beacon of hope for the entire galaxy. Where once there had been fear and violence between species, now there was understanding and cooperation. The most dangerous predators in known space had found their peace at last. Guided by the simple wisdom of human children who saw friends where others saw only monsters, and in doing so, they had shown the galaxy that sometimes the greatest strength came not from weapons or technology, but from the courage to care about even the most fearsome creatures in the universe. In her dormitory room, Yana fell asleep, with Buddy curled protectively around her bed, while outside, a dozen different alien species stood guard over the facility that had become their home. The girl who had once stopped a rampaging monster with a single word had grown into something even more remarkable, a bridge between worlds, proof that love could triumph over fear. The galaxy would never be the same. The end.